Hey, welcome to the Texas Hold'em podcast. I'm your host, Mark Zimmerman. I'm the president and chief operating officer of Renters Warehouse Houston. I am so pleased that you're able to join us today on this podcast. I am also very pleased that Chris Bounds with eXp Realty also has agreed to join us. So Chris, how are you?
Thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure. I always love talking with you and really just everyone over the Renters Warehouse team. I didn't make it out the other night. I know it was the last big event y'all had for the year, but yeah, I always love a chance when I can have some conversations with y'all.
Yeah, there's a lot of people come out to that event. We had John Pierre with the HGTV come out, Two Steps Home, and I have to do a shameless plug that when I first approached him to come out and speak at our event, he said, "Hey, I guess you don't know me or you don't remember me." And I said, I'd remember meeting a television star, right? Come on. And he goes, no, Mary and I, my wife, came out to your event when it was at the Texas Grill like 6 years ago and met you and talked to you about getting into real estate. 6 years later, they've got it two HGTV shows.
There you go.
Crazy. And when he talked, I mean, I'll send you the streaming recording if you want it. I think we also posted it up on our Facebook page. But when he talked about more about why he got into it, what they did to succeed, not on a detailed granular level, but more just about, pushing through the pain, going for broke is what he called it, knowing that they got pretty close there after their first flip, and then things just started working. And it was a really motivational speech. He got off stage. It's like, John Pierre, I'm fired up.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds like I missed out on that one. I'll have to check out the recording.
It was really good. It was really good. But I know you come to most of them, which I really do appreciate having you out there. But, as John Pierre told us his story from stage, about how, where he got to today and where he'd been and what he's doing before. He's in oil and gas like I was. I always like to ask the guests on this podcast, same thing, because it's so interesting. Chris Bounds, what got you to where you're sitting in this chair right now, eXp Realty, and what were you doing before, right?
Yeah. How far do you want to go back?
Hey, man, well, when I was born in
yeah, I mean, it does kind of start there, because I mean, my grandfather had a air conditioning and heating business, but they did a lot of construction. When they're bidding for air conditioning for like big commercial buildings, then they'd come in with a full like construction bid too and get that job. And so he had like 500 employees or so all throughout Central Texas. So I did get to see the whole entrepreneurial thing as a kid.
That's invaluable too, to see that kind of happening and go, wow.
It is. And my dad, at one point he was president of the company. And then, so we had a rental property as a kid, my parents had one. So I remember going there, like cleaning out all the trash in between tenants,
doing the make ready for the turns. I get that.
Yeah. And then my grandfather was like monopoly all over like Central Texas area. It's like, that street, well, he owns all those duplexes. And then this one, he's got that commercial land that he's leased. And so yeah, I absorbed it, but it was in college when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. A friend of mine recommended that.
That is crazy you say that, because that's exactly the reason why I bought that We Buy Ugly Houses franchise back in like 2000. Was exactly the same thing. I read the book and went, man, I got to get into passive income from real estate is what I need.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not even a real estate book.
No,
it's a book about money.
Exactly. And about what you do with it.
Assets and creating passive income, building wealth and really leveraging, because you can't do that with a W-2 job. So it organized a lot of thoughts I already had, put it in very simple terms. I'm like, holy cow, I'm going to be rich. But it's a 100,000 foot macro view of finance. There's still the tactical applications that it doesn't talk about, because it's evergreen. It's an evergreen book. So I had to figure that part out. That's where it took some time. Eventually took a class on knocking on doors for pre-foreclosures. So in college, I'm driving from College Station, Texas, and went to A&M to San Antonio, because at the time, San Antonio, Bexar County was the only county in the nation like fully online. So in my dorm room, I could look up pre-foreclosures.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Back in 2004, when pre-foreclosures, it's like a hot thing at the time.
Heck yeah.
And so I'm driving every weekend while my college buddies are sleeping over hangovers. I'm printing out reports. I've got the printable, like the actual map. There's no Google Maps. I'm like drawing dots on the map and like trying to figure out my best route. And then knocking on doors 3 months straight. Finally land my first deal. I'm like 21 years old, and this guy answers the door, and we give our like 15-second elevator pitch, and then he just looks around and he goes, how can you help me? And it was the first real bite that we had.
Right.
And we ended up buying that house. It was a house that at the time, I don't know, it's probably worth around 90,000 or so. This is 2004 prices.
Of course.
We bought it for around 15. It needed some work. Ended up, bought it with a JV. So I'm 21 years old. I don't have any money. So we partnered with the guy who taught us, the mentor that taught us how to do what we're doing.
And it wasn't a short sale. It probably just was a payoff and get him out of the whole foreclosure thing, or was it a short sale?
Yeah, it was a pre-foreclosure.
Yeah. So you were able to kind of get him paid off. He avoided the foreclosure. He wins with that.
Yeah, he got a check. He got a check. He avoided foreclosure. We took
check too, the money back.
Yeah, and then we took the property and sold it to another investor. We didn't remodel. So what is now known as wholetailing. I didn't even know what that term was.
Right.
But yeah, that was first deal. Did 4 deals within that next 12 months. All of them.
And was it about the same timeline of how long it took you to like drive and knock? I mean, was it take about that time to find each one of those 4 deals?
No, I mean that first 3 months
started to pick up a little, right? Then you got better at it.
I don't remember exactly the timeline of how quickly the next 3 went, but they definitely happened. We did that wholesale. The next one was more of a double close. Then we did a subject to, and then we did a private, a private lender acquisition, more like a BRRRR strategy type thing. So I actually did kind of like 4 exit strategies within 12 months of being in
which is great though.
21 or 22. It was exciting.
21, that's impressive at 21, 22. And it's actually what I always preach is that you really do need to have several exit strategies and figure out when you get a house under contract, what you're going to do with it. Because you have so many options. You can assign the contract, right? That's where you don't even close on it. Or you can close on it and just sell it as is, kind of that hoteling, like you said, where you maybe just fix some big stuff or just clean it out. Or you can fix it up and sell it, or you fix it up and rent it. You have all these different options. And if you just drill down on one, I think you're missing the boat. And you're also missing the chance to make some money. Yeah. So you actually were just kind of learning a little bit about everything and doing whatever fit for that particular
well, I'm hungry and really I'm looking for opportunity. So I was willing, and that is good. It has its advantages, but on the other side of the coin, you got to be a little careful and not just be like the rabbit running around everywhere.
Yeah.
I usually tell people,
what is it? Something about master of none. What's the first part of that?
Yeah.
God, I'm sorry. I can't.
It escaped me too. But ultimately, I usually say like, hey, whatever it is you want to learn, like learn it, figure out a couple alternative exit strategies, because that's just risk management. That's just smart business. Figure out some alternatives, know those, do concentrate on your main priority, and then build out from there. Which
get your reps in. Yeah, know that you're going to have to grind. That's actually where I was kind of going to when I was asking about the timelines, because that's what I think a lot of new investors don't understand is it's a poker term, but grinding and out, man. I mean, you gotta kiss a lot of frogs. You got to drive a lot of streets. If you're doing that, if you're doing the physical thing, you got to go online. I mean, there's going to make a lot of offers. It's not an overnight thing, right?
No, especially it's a whole today's environment. Where so many people, especially when it comes to marketing, give up at some point, whether they're 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months in. I mean, you really only fail when you quit.
That's true. That's exactly right. That's exactly.
Now you may learn a lot of ways that don't work, or maybe you're just not being consistent enough.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you just got to keep pushing forward, adjust. Take action, adjust, take action. And really that never stops. Like I'm sure you're all still in your business. I'm sure you had to make a lot of adjustments when COVID happened. Like
we make adjustments constantly. And I know you guys too. And it's part of the adjustments is because of the environment's constantly changing, right? SciTalk changes the only constant. So things are always changing in our industry and in your industry. So you got to change, but then also if you're constantly trying to make your business better, you're also going to change then too, right? Yeah. I mean, for example, we talked about a little bit earlier about the Lead Simple, the workflow automation and workflow process software that we've implemented that we just embraced about 6-7 months ago, right? That's a huge change for us. Doesn't affect our clients so much or our residents, except for maybe the communication. That's great. And the fact that we're going to drop even less balls now because some of it's automated, it's all online, it's step by step, but that was a huge change. And we're 9 years into this and we're doing that, right? And then of course you're also changing to offer better stuff, right? Better experiences for your clients.
And you have to, that part is key. It's always about, because the internet, if it's done one thing very well, it's commoditize basically everything, especially information. Like
that's true.
Everything's on YouTube. You can learn anything you want. So at that point, it ends up being the service. Like, what are you doing to provide more value to the end client, the end customer, that nobody else is doing? And if you can't continuously innovate in that effort, eventually you get squeezed out. There's always going to be someone who does it for cheaper or better. You've got to constantly be figuring out, how can I make that experience for the customer better than anyone else? That's the only way you get a hedge. Otherwise,
exactly right.
You get run over.
Because what will happen is, and we've seen it in our business, plagiarism is the highest form of flattery. When we started 9 years ago, we were the only property manager that I knew of, not just in Houston, but anywhere, that actually guaranteed every tenant that they placed, right? Tenant leaves, I'll put one in for free. You don't have to pay another leasing commission. Save a couple $1,000s on $2,000 rental, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? Today, there's a couple of my competitors that talk about it now. Not everybody's doing it, but I used to be able to say, we're the only one, just because people are going to plagiarize good ideas, but that's okay. I got in a rent advance program now where I can get you 12 months of your rent paid today when we lease a house with a little bit of a discount. No one does that now, but you know what? I know that probably in a year, two, whenever, when people are like, wow, you mean I can have you lease my property and then rent it out and I get almost the full 12 months rent today. Now I don't have to worry about collecting rent for the rest of the year. I know that's going to come standard. I don't mean to talk so much about us. I'm just talking about how you just got to constantly innovate. And I got to tell you, and this is a good tie into eXp, so I'm not capturing this. When I was talking to Luis, the social media director that you talked to, we were talking about this whole metaverse thing and how like Nike's creating Nike World and how you can have storefronts and how Nike's selling t-shirts and other metaverses that you can put on your avatar and blah, 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 blah. I immediately thought of eXp. I mean, you guys, don't you have that for your agents? Don't you have that place, right, that you can go? And it's just crazy, the stuff that you guys have done.
Yeah, and in terms of technology. So that's been going on for a long time. We just experienced it in different forms. Now, gaming usually is some of the early innovation that you see in a lot of little tech, it permeates into just the traditional business world. But if you want to take gaming, I mean, we've had metaverse type of experience in that since I was a little kid, and really probably before that. Now, when eXp came out with the virtual brokerage, and they ended up getting a company called Virbela to create this virtual campus for their office, which is where the entire company is based out of.
I know, and it just blows my mind. I mean, I'm talking about, you and I talked about this a couple of years ago, so you guys are way ahead of everybody else, because I never heard of it. I was just mind blown.
Yeah, and it's funny because everyone made fun of us. Like,
I'm sure.
Those little avatars. You even have like Gary Keller, kind of like Donkey Kong, and even like before I ever joined, like the graphics, I heard they weren't the best.
Super Mario Brothers, probably. That's okay.
Yeah, a little like blockheads and stuff like that. But it was a joke until COVID, and now it's not a joke because Dell computers.
That's right.
And then Microsoft and governments and universities. So we own Virbela now in this whole metaverse campus. They have an open campus for anyone. And then they're custom designing campuses for other companies. So if Renters Warehouse Houston wanted its own virtual campus for whatever reason or whatever, you can create those. And that's that's what we're seeing. So when Facebook comes out with Zuckerberg comes out with the whole metaverse thing, I'm like, it's been an obvious thing. He branded a very fortunate term.
Yes, he did,
and took ownership of it. But in any case, that's where eXp's been for a long time.
And that's my point. And it's crazy that you guys, I mean, again, it just blew my mind that this is something we've been talking about for years. And it's one of the things I thought was really cool. And then, now all of a sudden everybody's like, that's the way we need to go. I'm like, that a couple years ago, anyway, many years ago. But I will say, let's backtrack for a second, because people are watching this. They're like, okay, well, what exactly does Chris Bounds at eXp do? That's kind of my next tie in here. So, I mean, what does eXp do? How can you help real estate investors? How can you help just people that want to get into real estate in general, or as an agent or whatever? Give us the whole background on that. What does eXp do?
Yeah, and that all plays in very well, because over in 2004, that's when I did the first 4 deals.
Right.
Big space, moved to Houston, graduated A&M, moved to Houston, took a sales job, got married in 2011. Now thinking of family, future, kids. So my wife and I, long story short, we just start buying some rental properties.
Yeah.
Been doing an occasional flip, get licensed in 2014, 2015, go full time. And all in all, we've flipped over 200 houses since then.
Beautiful. Wow.
And then we've got $44 million in assets under management. Most of that comes
Wonderful.
from a large multifamily and a $42 million property in Florida.
Gotcha.
So, but in the middle of that, we talked about the middle getting squeezed and having to constantly innovate. I saw the wind start to change in the Houston market, starting in like 2017. Like, it's getting a little harder to get deals.
Okay.
Margins are squeezing, a lot more competition coming in. And then, so what Jamie and I started really looking at is we built this big machine that flips houses, but it's a machine that constantly has to be fed. It's this monster that requires a lot of money, a lot of food, and the food it likes is green.
Correct. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so we had to decide, like, we have to keep feeding this thing, but it also prohibits us from holding properties because it constantly needs investments, and that's fine. Yeah. But we have to sell things because that's the business model.
And because you like to eat. I mean, I went down that same road. That was the one thing about being the We Buy Ugly Houses guy. We were also buying 8 to 10 houses a month. We had to sell everything in order to pay for the advertising and the franchise fees and the interest on my loan payments and the office and blah, blah, blah. And so we had to sell everything just so we could eat, because I like to eat. So I hear exactly what you're talking about. So you have this machine going, and I can walk around and brag too about how many, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's like, what do I have? You
don't own anything.
No, you don't.
You've got a good cash machine.
You're really an employee too of yourself.
You're absolutely an employee.
I go on vacation. Who's buying houses? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the moment you stop, all the income stops. So we got into real estate buying rentals, and that was our goal: wealth, passive income. And we realized, like, what we're building, it's not really why we got in. We evolved into that. That was fine. That's just our path. But how can we get back to wealth and passive income? Then in 2018, I had our lead manager. I said, hey, every deal, because I'm licensed, but we didn't do any retail stuff. I'm licensed. I said, every deal that we made an offer on and we did not get it, what happened to it? It was 130 or so of them sold retail.
I believe it.
So these houses, you've been in them, where it's the homeowner. They're not in distress.
They just don't want to sell for a discount, maybe, or they don't have enough equity. Either one, or they don't have a desire.
There could be that, but and then also the property may not even need a lot of work. It maybe some updating, but that's about it. They are sincerely willing to sell.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. Every one of them wants to sell. That's why they wouldn't have contacted you if they didn't want to sell.
Correct. Well, you do have some tire kickers that are looking for a lottery ticket.
Some, but not all. And I mean, I'm really reacting.
It's the ones that want to sell. So we're on the appointment. So at this point, we know that they want to sell. They're looking for an offer. It's just, they're not going to take the 70, 75%.
Correct.
Or even 80%. They would give up a little bit, take a little bit of a discount for convenience, but not the discount that you need as a flipper, as an investor. So, but here's the dilemma.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. I know where you're going with this, because this is my biggest regret. If I think about going back to back when we were doing those, anyway, keep going. I know where you're going.
No, anyone who's doing this actively and has been doing this for over at least the last 12 months, like, just go back and think about these numbers. I'm sitting there with someone in their living room and they're telling me, hey, Chris, I want to sell my house. And I'm like, cool, here's my offer. And they say, no, I want to sell my house. I'm not accepting that. I will sell my house. Then I go, okay, good luck. But
that's what I did. I
had the tools to help them, and I refused.
I know.
Now, having laser focused on one exit strategy, it's not bad, but 130 deals, backtrack to our average price point. And if we were a horrible closer, like, good realtors close 90% of their deals. Appointments, 90%.
That's amazing. I didn't know that high.
Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't know that at the time. 90%. I said, what if I'm a bad agent and I only close 30%? Some of those will be as is. Some of them, a vast majority, will be retail. 30% would have equated 39. Those 130 deals would have been $200,000 in gross commission. So I'm like, all right, $200,000. That's not like money under the couch, like kind of lost kind of thing. This is real money. I need to pay attention to it.
Right.
Now, around the same time, buddy of mine, Brant Phillips. We had talked on a few occasions, did an IRONMAN together. He's very well respected in the community as far as an investor and just his work ethic. And he did a lot of education and coaching and doing some good stuff. And I know you know him. And he if anyone else would have asked me, I probably would have blown him off. But he was like, "Hey, I want you to come check out this thing." So I came to check it out. And he was like, "Hey, look, there's this company. It's a real estate brokerage that will let you build wealth and passive income with your license." And I'm brokerage agnostic. Like I had my license. It was a check the box for me. This is just me. For me, it was a check the box. I needed access to data and I needed to be able to list. So I was with a flat fee brokerage. I was happy with them. They did exactly what I needed, which wasn't much. But when he was like, you can build wealth and passive income while running your business, nothing changes with your business. You run that same way. You just have now additional income streams. And then in addition to that, you have the opportunity to build a global collaboration business through the revenue share program. I'm like, what? I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Like, this is the Amazon of real estate. Like, why would I not? Now, I had no idea because there was maybe 12,000 agents at the time and only 200 in Houston.
That's
so,
wow.
Yeah. So we're at over 68,000 agents now. If I would have known it would grow, I knew it was going to grow, just not that quickly. If I would have known, I definitely would have, hustled a little bit harder. But in any case, it fit that problem. My problem was, at the time as an investor, how can we?
And that passive income you're talking about is a revenue share with other agents that you bring on, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So here's the problem that Glenn Sanford solved as an agent himself. So he came from tech, ended up getting his license and joining Keller Williams, built a massive business using online lead generation because that's his background. Nobody was doing it at the time. 2008 happens. Like he's kind of fearful of going bankrupt, just like 2/3 of brokers and agents go out of business during that time. So you lived through that. But he's like, let's go back to the drawing board and redesign this model because it's broken. It's not fit for markets that are down, or especially markets like 2008, which it's worse than down. So he redesigned it. He shut down all the offices. He was like, we're going virtual. His agents are like, cool. Hey, when the offices open back up, he's like, they're not. But now that freed up a lot more money to invest in the agents through technology, tools, training, but also it solved the fundamental problem that every other brokerage before and most brokerages today still cannot solve. And that is the retirement ability. There is no way an agent can retire in their business. Their business is worth nothing. They have no equity. And when they stop
listing or helping people buy houses, the commissions stop, and now your income stops, and you've got to keep going.
Absolutely.
You'll be out there on your walker at 90. Oh, can I list your house for you there, Chris?
Think about the agent who's 55 right now, who's been doing this business for 15 years. And it's not like it's fun at times, and there's definitely exciting moments for agents when you're helping clients. But at the end of the day, like, you have your own family that you have to worry about. And when you have to retire, either because of circumstance, medical, family situation, or whatever, or it's just time, you decide your business is worth nothing. But right now you own a business. You probably own a couple different businesses. If you decided to retire, there's a formula that your business that you have equity, you could sell it, and that's going to aid in your retirement. The real estate agent did not have that option.
No, that makes complete sense.
He made sure that was woven into the model, that compensation for contribution, agents are going to be able to build equity in their business and build a meaningful means to retirement while they run their own business. And this isn't even revenue share. This is just the equity component.
Oh yeah, yeah. Talk about the equity side because I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, this is earning stock on your first transaction every year, earning stock whenever you cap, earning stock on every single transaction at a discount.
And now you're not, now you're a stockholder, not just an employee. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And getting your cap back for
that's big
high
too.
volume agents, being able to get that cap back every single year in the form of stock. It's amazing. There have been millionaires made because of it. You never know what stock will do. It can go up, down, sideways, and stock does what it does. But it represents equity. Equity has a value, and where else are you going to get that?
Nowhere. Well, it's funny you say that because I was like, okay, yeah, you could work really hard as an agent and then take, I guess, part of the money that you made and then maybe put it in the stock exchange, but that just not going to really affect things, I think, as well as when you're getting these, I don't know, the stock that you get through, like you get your cap back and get stock that way. That's like a lot of, I don't want to call it free money, but because you earned it. But that's
when it comes to your cap back. Yeah, I mean, that basically is free money.
I didn't know if I should say that or not.
Well, I mean,
really kind of is.
Okay, free could be misleading because it's not free. Because I mean, there are certain things
it's a cap
to get that
to get
but
there.
You are paying cap in, and you are getting that awarded back when you hit certain metrics.
Yep.
And what that extrapolates to over time, over 3, 5, 10 years, that's real money. Like 16,000, you're not going to retire off of that. What does that add up? Because I've had agents just say, I mean, whether they're with Keller or Coldwell Banker or whatever, they'll be like, I mean, it's only 16,000, only 21,000 or whatever their cap is, 18,000. I'm like,
only.
Are you telling me that your broker, like that money is better off in your broker's hands than in your kids? Exactly. Like, or I mean, would your family be better off giving that money to your broker? Then like in 5 years, let's take a look at what that looks like.
Or break it down to where just go ahead and make it, look at it from a month, that impact on a month. That's, almost not quite $2,000 a month in your pocket, right? $1,500 a month. That's not small money. No. $1,500 extra a month in your pocket. If you take that cap that you're getting back and you're doing it year after year, then I got to believe, like you said, stock goes up, stock goes down. I'm making predictions here. However, as it ticks up, now maybe it's not 1,500 anymore. Maybe, I mean, so I'm saying you're going to see value in that, total value.
And it ends up being substantial for a growing company. But now the revenue share, now this is everyone joins eXp for different reasons.
Sure.
I like wealth and passive income. That's why I'm an investor. So wealth through the equity program, and then passive income through revenue share. So passive income before for me was rental properties.
Right.
And so now I already work with a lot of agents, a lot of investors I know are licensed. So I was like, this is just an extra way that we can collaborate and work together while still working on our own businesses and be able to educate.
That's the key. You're not going to stop being a landlord for this. This is just an added tool to your kit for passive income that you can.
And it's amazing because
you can do them side by side.
And it's now this year it's ranged from 2 to 5 times my rentals.
That's crazy.
Debt free.
That is
debt free. So by this, I've spent 10 years building that. Like
I was going to say, you put some time in. It's like these overnight success, and you dig into it, and you're like, I was grinding for 10 years before we hit it, right? So I can totally get that. You put the time in, you put the work in.
Exactly. It's compensated for contribution, but beyond that, it's the ability to network and collaborate with people. Like there's a guy we met at a conference in San Diego. He lives in Florida, and he was getting his license. And so we had a conversation when he got back, got his license. He's getting into investing. And now 3 years later, he's hit Icon twice. So 2 out of his 3 years of being a licensed agent, which is phenomenal. That puts him in the top 2% of the company. In addition to that, he owns several hundred units of multifamily and mobile home parks.
Wow.
And he's doing I forget the exact number. I don't know. It's like 10 million or 8 million or so in annual sales through like him and his team. And he's got some exclusive agreements with some builders. Like he's crushing it, but he's just one agent who has turned into 90 because of networking. and then that networking compound effect. And then we've done business with those folks. Whether it's referral agreements, whether it's loaning money. Sometimes we'll loan money to some of the agents that are team. They've got a flip a project coming up. And then some of them refer deals like, hey, I've got a client, they've got this.
You've got this big group of network that you can network in, and you're going to help each other out. That makes a total amount of sense. And you're going to meet a lot of new people too by doing this too.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Including like before, we got that agent in Barcelona.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. That's crazy. Well, you've answered a couple of the other questions I always ask. One was, why should somebody call you, right, instead of somebody else? And I think we just hit the nail on the head, right? You got the equity part of it with the stock, and you also have the passive income from basically getting those from other agents you brought on board. I mean, that's very unique in a way to make money, not from just walking the street over there and helping people list and buy houses, which is
you can sell houses anywhere, you can earn commission anywhere, and there's a lot of really great brokerages like and I mean that's just true. There's a lot of great brands out there, great training programs, great people at these other companies. But at the end of the day, this is business. We're running a business, and you can earn commission anywhere, but where else you're going to be able to build a meaningful retirement plan, to be able to build equity and build passive income for you, your business, and your family, and over time actually have something of value in addition to commission. And then for me, I like investments. So anyone that is interested in real estate investing, we do everything. I mean, we give everything away, like anything we can give away to help you buy or sell more houses, whether it's for an investment or for a client. Like we want to do that from social media management and marketing to mobile home parks, multifamily, flipping houses, raising private money. Like we just pour into the agents so they can grow professionally and do more business. And then hopefully they can help people and reach out.
Well, that's the key. And that's something I've always felt about you. And that's kind of my thing too. And that is, you pay it forward and you help people succeed, whether or not you're going to get anything out of it immediately. Doesn't mean that, it just is building relationships and helping people to lift themselves up. And then they're going to help lift you up. And it just, I don't know. I've always felt that about you. And I'm sure eXp feels that same way, but you definitely get it from you. I mean, you're willing to help out whatever and help people succeed. And that's something that a lot of people do, right? And I see that with you because I've known you for a while now. So,
it comes back to giving more value. You just have to give value, and the only way you can do it and be happy personally is to expect nothing in return.
Right.
Give the value anyway. At some point in time, maybe it'll play out. Maybe it doesn't, but maybe you gave value, and then that person's coworker says, "Hey, I'm kind of thinking about investing in real estate." You're like, "Oh man, hey, you got to call Chris." Or, "Hey, I've got I just inherited this rental property. I really don't want to manage it. Hey, you got to go call those rental warehouse guys. They know what they're doing." And I heard they're giving away full annual rent.
Exactly.
You can actually get your whole annual rent program. You really ought to ask them about that. Right. So it's that extra degree of separation just by being a nice human.
Being a nice human and also being in a with a company and in an industry where there's a lot of networking that goes on, and I see that a lot. So that's great. And it's funny because you answered another question that I always ask, and that is, why should someone that's new getting into real estate investment reach out to eXp, right? Or reach out to you? And I'm going to answer part of it. And you tell me if I'm wrong or not, because I really want to get back to this. I was banging my head earlier because I can tell you that our metrics were, we would get back in the day when we were humming 300 leads a month. We'd go on 30 appointments and we'd buy 10 houses. That was our metrics all day long. No matter what happened, rain, shine, holiday, whatever. That was it. Okay. How many leads didn't turn into appointments? 270.
Yeah.
How many of those 270 people wanted to sell their house, but maybe, like I said earlier, not a discount, or, they didn't have enough equity, or whatever reason they decide not to sell to the We Ugly Houses guy? Probably a lot of the 270.
Yeah.
We would have had our realtor's license. We would have been an eXp realtor. We could have said, you know what? Okay, you didn't like my low offer, which, there's reasons why I had to do this, but hey, why don't I help you list it and make a little commission that way?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I was banging my head earlier, because if I could go back and change things, I would have done that. But I was so focused on the model that I was given as a franchisor or a franchisee, right? I was just staying.
But you weren't alone. I was in that too. And
yeah, it sounds like you went through the same thing.
Well, so traditionally, and I think it's less so now, but it's still there. You have two camps. You have investors and then you have realtors,
Right.
and they don't necessarily like each other by
Right.
and large.
It's
Now,
true.
there's some that have very good understanding of both sides
Right.
and they respect. And then you have the agent investor,
Right.
like for
Mhm.
me, where I've got my license. So
Right.
it's this is what I tell folks. If you approach the situation, I think this is more important now than ever before,
Mhm.
because technology has allowed big operators to compete at the local level,
Yes.
which
We're seeing
it's going
more
to
and
be
more.
hard to beat Silicon Valley's offer. Like
Yes.
we're helping a client sell a house. I give them the option. Hey, do they want to go retail, or do they
Right.
want to go with one of these iBuyers? And then the iBuyer buying it practically at retail. Now, whether you like them or not,
Right.
like I would never even remotely close to be able to compete at that offer. But this is what I tell folks, investors, like, look.
Well, there, if you think
Don't,
about the news just this week with Zillow,
but Zillow, yeah, no, and
maybe that's
those,
not, maybe they are making offers they shouldn't have been making. Right?
yeah,
They're losing
and
$20,000 a
those
house. I think
models,
is
they still have to
$20,000 loss.
play out through various market cycles.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this is how the investor agent needs to approach the situation. If they want to hedge their business, don't be a one-trick pony that offers backups, because you break trust. And I know this firsthand because I did it. Because when I was first thinking about this retail thing, that's how I approached it. I'm buy houses. Well, you don't like it. Okay, well, hey, what about this? And then they're like, well, why don't you tell me about that before? And now it's new information. I got to think about it. Then you never
Yeah.
follow up.
Yeah.
This is how I say, be their trusted confidant, be their advisor, be their guide. You're guiding the hero down the journey. And they're the hero of the story that wants to get to an endpoint. You guide them to that endpoint through tactical empathy. Chris Voss never split the difference, through questions.
Good book.
Because by telling a motivated seller that you can list it on the MLS with a realtor and getting more money, they already know. Like, that's not new.
Right.
They just don't want to do it.
Right.
But it wouldn't be much easier if you're just saying, hey, Mark, we get an appointment, 3:00 Saturday, and just give me a little heads up. We'll come out, kind of just walk through the property and check it out. And we'll just have some different, discussion on how we can help you get your house sold, how we can help you meet your goal. Maybe that's selling it as is for cash at your timeline. Maybe it's a more traditional listing, or there are a few other options in between.
So setting that expectation of, I'm going to help guide you in a trustworthy manner, the best way to go, and not just get stuck on just one thing that you're going to drive home and then lose trust when you switch gears when they go, no, right? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And you can figure that out. So by the conversation, maybe we're like, more Chris Voss stuff, it seems like you really probably would rather put this on the market and get the most you want out of it. Now, they could say yes, and you know your answer. They could say, no, I don't want to deal with a headache. Like, I just want this thing sold.
Well, see, but you make the great point. I was not fudging the numbers. Of course, it was back in the day when it was humming. 300 calls in, 30 would say, no, I just want to get this thing sold.
Yeah.
And 270 would say, no, I don't think I want to take it for a discount. What you're saying is, well, let me help you with that. If that's the way you want to go, then I think, a solution for you, right? Which is, this is a damn thing to make a commission, right?
Yeah. And that way they can trust you.
And they trust you because you're kind of guiding them one way or the other in that initial contact. And you're not.
And no other wholesalers doing that. Like, wholesalers are beating them upside the head.
Yes.
And they're doing some shady stuff. Now, in wholesaling it depends on what state you're in. It's legal. And more states are requiring you get a license. But and there's some good operators out there. But for the most part, there's a lot of shady folks. There's a lot of shady agents too. And it's not just wholesalers. But there are a lot of shady folks. Be that trustworthy, that trusted advisor. Be professional. Guide them. Give them options. Use the questions. And with the questions, you can guide them down the path that they already know and help them with their solution. If you do that, you'll close out a ton more deals. And here's the kicker.
Fantastic advice.
Here's the kicker. That those 270. All right. The lifetime value of a motivated seller is what?
Once, right?
Yeah, 0. I mean, other than that one deal. I mean, that's it.
That's what I meant.
You'll never get anything else from them. The lifetime value for a realtor client, they're going to work with that client about 3 times over their lifetime.
Okay.
And they're going
The
to get 3
referrals
to
too, right?
5 referrals.
So you're talking about maybe 6 deals now, 6
Potentially.
opportunities from
It depends on how buttoned up you have that.
I get what you're saying though. No, that makes sense.
It ends up being a client is worth not just the little 3% where they're going to make $6,000, $8,000. It's actually close to 20 to 25. Well, these are old numbers, but it was about 20,000. It's probably closer to 30,000 now with home prices, maybe more depending on your market.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you can, as the agent investor, you probably don't want to be the one like helping buyers, but that's when you have an agent on your team where you can help them get the house sold, but they need to go into an apartment. They need to go, they're moving across town. They got a referral in New York. Like you're referring that out to dedicated agents that you work with or on your team, and you're able to earn that commission, give you extra income streams, further insulating you from competition. It's
wow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. Like I would be much wealthier
beautiful.
today if I figured this out
I
10
know,
years
right?
ago.
Well, I've always said that I'm not the guy that's going to say he knows everything and did everything right, but I am the guy that's done a lot of things wrong, and I'm always more than welcome to share that so people can maybe avoid pain. And sometimes I think there's more validity in going, like you and I talking about this, not pushing the agent side of it when we're sitting on leads for possible, discounted buys. You look back, you go, okay, don't do that. Right. So that's great. But what I like better is that you talked about building trust, because at the end of the day, it's not about buying and selling houses. It's not about any of that. It's about trust building. And, that's what you have to really provide in order to succeed in this business. I totally believe that. I really,
you bring this out 20 years from now, probably 98% of all realtor business and even investment business is done by robots. Whether it's Zillow or some unknown company or Google figures it out or whatever, robots are doing all that stuff. We're all going to be just working behind a desk. But so you just have to hedge. You have to give more value. That's the only way you're going to be able to adapt and evolve. Everyone who stays in the middle and does the same old thing, you just get run over.
I totally agree. That is a beautiful and fantastic advice. Totally great advice. So let me ask you this. We talked about a whole ton of really cool stuff. How does someone get a hold of Chris Bounce? I heard about EXP and holy cow, I just need to talk to Chris now, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, whether it's investing, we do a lot of events, and even on YouTube, we put a video a day. We've got over 300 videos on there. So Invested Agents with an S, investedagents.com. That's our website. It has all my social links. I answer every DM or comment. So whether you're commenting on a YouTube video, sending me a message on Instagram or TikTok, I will get back to you. As long as I don't think you're some Vietnamese spam about your crypto wallet.
Right, exactly.
I'll actually get back with you. Feel free to message me.
If it's about your car warranty, I know you're contacting me.
Yeah. Oh gosh, man, I wish I could hire a few of those guys.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, and of course, if you are a licensed agent, or you're looking
plural.com. Gotcha.
Yeah,
good.
And if you're a licensed agent, or if you're thinking about getting your real estate license, whether you're an investor or a retail agent, happy to reach out and talk about what we do as a team within eXp Realty, regardless of what state or and actually in about 18 countries as well.
And they can do that through, again, that same website.
Yeah, Invested
Agents. All of it, everything pours through.
Everything's on there.
That's easy, man. Okay, gosh, and I can remember investedagents.com, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, it is always a pleasure to talk to you, and I mean that sincerely. I think you're a good guy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about this and get me motivated again. Always. So, thanks for the time. And I hope.
All right, thank you. It's been a true pleasure.
It really has. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, everyone. We really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe below.